This week's Torah portion, Miketz, continues the story of Joseph. In last week's portion, we read how Joseph, the favored son of his father, was betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery in Egypt, which is where we find ourselves in this week's portion. Joseph's time in Egypt certainly had its ups and downs, but it ultimately served a purpose: to bring salvation to the world. And to begin that process, God worked through Joseph and gave him the ability to properly interpret dreams. The Pharaoh called upon Joseph to interpret his dreams, and Joseph said this to him: "God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Behold, 7 years of great abundance are coming in all the land of Egypt, and after them 7 years of famine will come, and all the abundance will be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine will ravage the land." And as a result of the great famine that was coming, Joseph suggested that they store up grain during the 7 good years so that they will have food during the 7 years of famine. Through Joseph, God proclaimed a message of salvation for Egypt and for any who would listen. And the same is true of Jesus. Through Jesus, God has proclaimed the message of salvation, and much of the Gentile world has embraced that message and has made Jesus their Lord. This too was foreshadowed in Joseph. The Pharaoh, realizing that God was with Joseph, appointed him as second in command in Egypt. The Pharaoh said to Joseph, "You shall be over my house, and according to your command, all my people shall do homage. Only in the throne I will be greater than you." And it says, he set him over all the land of Egypt. Now, we are not given too many details regarding Joseph's time as second in command over Egypt, but it's safe to assume that Joseph ruled with honor and brought with him the God-given values that he learned from his father. Nevertheless, for all intents and purposes, Joseph lived as a Gentile. In fact, he married an Egyptian woman and had 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And Joseph was assimilated into Egyptian culture. And the same is actually true of Jesus, insofar as Christianity was integrated into the Roman Empire, bringing with it its morality on the one hand, but also becoming assimilated into Gentile culture. And especially once Constantine embraced Christianity and made it the state religion of the Roman Empire, from that time forward, the many foreign elements that had found its way into Christianity became solidified as orthodox. As a result, rather than presenting Jesus as the Jewish Messiah who came preaching a message of repentance in light of the coming kingdom, the church was now presenting Jesus as the second person of the Trinity coming down out of heaven, preaching a message to change your mind about the gospel so that your soul could go to heaven when you die. The book of Genesis continues, and we learn that Joseph carried out his plan, and eventually Joseph's own brothers came to Egypt to buy the stored up grain. However, we are told that when they arrived, Joseph had recognized his brothers, although they did not recognize him. And just as Joseph's brothers did not recognize him, the Jewish people cannot recognize Jesus. This fact that the Jewish people do not believe Jesus is the Messiah has fascinated me all my adult life. In fact, the most popular video on this YouTube channel is all about exploring, at least partly, why Jewish people do not believe in Jesus. One of the main reasons why Jewish people reject Jesus as the Messiah is because they think he came to do away with the Torah and create a new religion. To the Jewish people, Jesus is a false teacher and the head of a foreign and false religion. Like Joseph to his brothers, Jesus sounds and looks like a foreigner to his people. However, as we Christians have begun to reconnect with the Jewish roots of the Christian faith, we have begun to give a fresh presentation of Jesus, and as a result, Jewish people are starting to recognize the Jewishness of Jesus, and some are indeed even embracing him as the Jewish Messiah. I believe that all of this is in preparation of what is to come when the Jewish people as a whole recognize him. Indeed, just as Joseph revealed himself to his brothers, Jesus is currently revealing himself to the Jewish people and will one day fully reveal himself, showing himself to be the long-awaited Jewish Messiah.